If it's an audio, if you're an audio question. Oh,
And now,
yeah.
and now it's it's on, and now we are at Mazecast number whatever number it
17.
is,
17?
13, and
13?
we're discussing rooms between not the rooms between 11 and 14, but the actual rooms number 11 and 14. And with us today are SP and whatever that other gentleman likes to be called.
Whoever I am.
Yes, indeed.
From
And
this.
then whoever I am too. And uh, and and if anybody would like to start with discussing, whatever the heck is going on in whichever room we should go first, and by all means, it's like,
Yeah, so I prepared some review material for these two rooms. I can just get into it unless there's any business we need to get out of the way first.
I can't think of anything.
Nothing
No.
else?
Go ahead.
All right. Okay. So well, hopefully we can do both 11 and 14. I figure 11 is it's pretty small. There's not a lot there, so maybe we don't have to spend as much time on that one. But the reason why I wanted to do the two rooms together is that I just feel like there's sort of some kind of synergy there with the two rooms both being sort of in large spaces where the visitors seem to be very tiny. First a mouse cage in room 11, and then an entire room, a whole living room in room 14. And of course, the fact that they both lead directly into 24 makes them both pretty dangerous rooms as well. Obviously, 11 is right there in the trap, and 14 is close to it. I mean, unless you turn away, you're gonna go right into the trap there. So we can start with 11, I guess. And so the first thing I had, well, looking at the abyss, White Raven has said that there are two riddles that indicate 40 as being the door that we want, because, I mean, it's not great, because obviously we're just delaying the inevitable, but at the very least we should try to postpone entering 24. And so White Raven says that there are two clues that point us to 40, and Anchorperson Smith has supposedly discovered what White Raven says is an incomplete solution, but it's pretty good. It's that he reads the nail that holds the sign in as being a golf tee, T-E-E, and so he combines that with the first word on the sign, which is 4, to make 40, which is also bolstered by the fact that people playing golf, I'm told, are supposed to yell 4 at some point. I'm not exactly sure the details, but supposedly you can get 40 out of this, and White Raven thinks that's good. I think that's good. Apparently it's not complete, but it's there. And so we could try to finish that maybe if we have another insight that could complete that one. And as far as some other observations in the room, Mr. Genty's ring the bell is actually supposed to refer back to room 26, and it's supposed to maybe help us out on the next time. Obviously we're doomed in this run, but on the next time that we try to enter the maze, maybe we'll pick up the significance of the bell in room 26 based on this sign. That's what Mr. Gentile suggests. And people have also talked a lot about the wires, but I'll get into that at the end because that's kind of big. But so the wires are there, the wires for the buzzer, for the bell. And as far as, let's see, there are a couple of other things. I suggested, this isn't really much of a riddle, but I still pretty much stand by this. I suggested that we should pay attention to the doorknobs in this room, because the thoughtful guest, and this is also the first room where the thoughtful guest is actually singled out, which is interesting. She suggests that this seems to be an important room based on the quantity of doors, but I think that doesn't actually hold up, because when you look at the doors in the room, the door on the very far left clearly does not have a doorknob. And 24 also doesn't seem, I mean, toward the center also doesn't seem to have a doorknob. And I think you can even argue that the door on the other side, the far right door, also doesn't have a doorknob. And I think that could be seen as a clue that, in fact, this room is not as significant as the guests are suspecting, and that we shouldn't think of this room as being on the path, and we should take care to avoid it in future runs. So yeah, it's not really a puzzle, but I think that stands. And we also have, let's see, we also have this. This just happens to have a clue to the a possible clue to the guide's identity, which is just worth noting. I don't know if we really want to talk about that tonight. That's too big. But we do have that little tidbit. I've always hated confinement, which I think works pretty well if you consider the guide to be the Minotaur, which is one popular candidate. I think other potential ideas for the guide's identity need to take that into account. Need to take this potential suggestion that the guide has at one point been a prisoner or has otherwise been confined. And so that's pretty much everything I have to say, except for the wires. So a lot of people have been trying to get various words out of the wires. People have been trying to in the wires. So the position of the wires, there's some seemingly very deliberate lines and curves that suggest the possibility that they might be taken as letters in one regard, and if just viewed from the right angle. And I found one word that I'm going to try to show you guys if I can get screen share going. Let's see, entire screen. So I tested this out before. You guys should be seeing my screen now, right?
Oh, let me fix the bandwidth.
Let's see. Can you guys see my screen now?
You need to see something to the left.
Yeah, I have a still. I flipped it. I flipped it horizontally and I rotated it some however goddamn many angles, and so I found what I believe to be the word duped. The host is telling them that they are dupes for reaching this room, and they better never try to get here again. And
that's pretty good.
That's pretty much that's pretty much all I got for this room. So I'll turn off. So you should be back to normal now.
Okay.
And so.
Well, that's cool. I never thought of mirror imaging it to get something out of there because it looks pretty weird.
Something about there's one really central letter. It looks like it could be a G, but if you flip it, you could get other letters like B or D or P from it. So that was why I thought of maybe flipping it around and trying to see something else. So. Who knows? There could be something serious in there that we need to find. I don't think my suggestion is legitimate, but I think that flipping it around is a possible tactic. So, anybody have any other thoughts as to this room?
Yeah, I think I was telling you earlier before today. Those flat screwdrivers sort of look like do not enter signs.
Right.
On a road.
You're talking about the ones over the doors, not the ones that are holding the bell board down, right?
Well, all of them, now that you mention it, but specifically the one that's closest to 24, not the one that's on the angle, but the one that's straight. It looks like a 3D do not enter sign.
Yeah.
You see it on a highway or on a one-way street.
And I'm just noticing now that I'm looking at the buzzer screws that when you look at the ones holding the bell board down, you have the two on the right closer to 24 that sort of, from our perspective, if you viewed this from the top looking down, they would look exactly like the two, or almost exactly like the two that are over by 24. And if you took the two on the left, they would look like the two over by 40, which might further, like you can see how one of them would appear to be horizontal and one of them would appear to be vertical and the other two are diagonal. And maybe that's supposed to reinforce the same idea, if there's something to that.
I think Vince also mentioned before regarding your comment about there's no door handles on it. I don't have my copy of Maze with all the entrances and exits on it, but I'm pretty sure that there's only 3 entrances to this. And Vince or somebody else mentioned that the third door hides the third doorknob. Or like it could hide a third doorknob if you consider the other doors don't have doorknobs.
Oh, you mean, let's see, so... Well, you can get here. I think you can get here from 4 other rooms, can't you? I'm looking at the address right now, and it says you could get here from.
I don't have it in front of me. I just have my PDF version.
Yeah, I see. There are 6 doors in the picture, and there should be 6 doors here, so that makes sense. But I just think that the. Yeah, I couldn't say anything about whether the obscured doorknob is actually a full doorknob or not, but I just think that the missing doorknobs, I mean, just in addition to the fact that they're not labeled, but the missing doorknobs further cement the impression that we shouldn't be deceived into thinking that this is some kind of important hub.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know.
I buy the whole golf thing.
I'm sorry, did you say you do buy it or you don't buy it?
I do.
Yeah.
4T. Yeah, it's pretty clear.
I don't know why White Raven considers that to be incomplete, because it seems fine to me.
I'm sure there's some other element to it, either in the text, like there has been before, or maybe that's the only thing I can think of. Maybe it's linked up in the text, or maybe there's another golf clue in there. Just a side note, I think it was Snail Rider who mentioned that little hole in the ground that the two wires are going through is this room is actually above room 6 with that tiny hole in the ceiling.
Oh.
Although that's the only thing that reminds me.
I don't see a
of
hole
in
in room 6.
floor.
So
Are you sure?
It's terrible sound, by the way. I can't hear any of you guys, so if I talk over you, it's because I can't hear anything. So sorry.
Let me try to say this clearly. Do you mean room 6? Because I don't see a hole there.
Yeah, no, it's mentioned in the text that it's above the.
Oh yeah, of course.
The like it's far up above. I would assume where the ladder is.
Yeah, that would I guess. Well, 6 is part of the trap too, isn't it?
Yes.
I guess that would work with the theory that the trap and the loop and the path are different levels, but I'm not really sure how serious anybody is about that theory anyway.
No, yeah, I just mentioned it because it's the only other thing I can think of in this room that's maybe related to another room.
Yeah.
Well,
or important.
Has anybody tried to ring the bell?
You mean in the text, nobody tries to ring the bell?
Yeah, I think someone should ring the bell.
Maybe they'll hear it in room 1.
Was to try to ring the bell.
Okay, I'm trying. Nothing's happening. Yeah, it's not working.
I figured it was worth a shot.
This is also another interesting thing in this room is that, I mean, it's pretty small, but at least it seems small. But there is an interesting emphasis on the word important when the thoughtful guest says this must be an important room, and the host says this is an important choice, which may or may not be deliberate or in some way meaningful. I think that Gentile's reaction to that is to try to get the letters trap out of important, which I don't necessarily agree with, but I do share his sense that could be a deliberate choice because it seems the sentences seem to stand out as being so similar to each other. This must be an important room. This is an important choice. There might be something there.
Yeah, you might be onto something. Importance is always a trap.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So it's connected to room 6 somehow, and there's a hole in the roof of room 6 that's turned into room 11.
Yeah. I'll read the quote. It says, "A very small hole high above admitted a feeble light."
Wow.
Yeah, whatever. It's just food for thought. But I don't buy it completely. But I was gonna say though, in the first use of the word important, he says that this was not true, but I did not want to interrupt. So maybe important is a red herring here.
Yeah, which it could just as well be in the second use too, just because the fact is it's not a very important choice.
Like it's certainly a red herring when he says this is an important choice, right? Because you're already in the trap. It's not an important choice. You're just going to go around in circles until you eventually go to 24.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. So I think in both cases he's lying about it being important, or it's it not being important.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
So maybe they should be touching the bell.
I mean, whoever they get can't be less helpful than the guide, really, unless it just eats them.
I don't know. I kind of like the web design on above it. It's a cool little room. I don't see why anybody would want to avoid it. It's got these cool bolts on the side. I mean, nice floor tiles.
Yeah, nice ambiance. Very nice.
Yeah, it's definitely different than all the other rooms.
Well,
I guess all the rooms are different because they're different rooms, but nevertheless, I'm feeling it.
Hmm.
But that aside, is there anything? That's
Do you think?
everything. That's everything for me. That and the bell looks like either a UFO or a Christmas tree holder.
yeah, possible.
Yeah.
I wonder if the I just saw the word gratefully in the text. I wonder if that's just a pun on the grating overhead, if you want to call it grating. Those intercrossing bars.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just a possibility. I mean, I'd be grateful to get out of here to be honest.
Yeah, most likely.
Anything else, Alex?
What do you guys make of the hand that's pointing? Like it's not pointing directly at the bell button. It's sort of pointing off to the side there.
That's true.
I love to point out the obvious.
No, it's true. I almost
Yeah.
want to say it could be pointing to 24, but it seems a little too low angled for that. But you
Yeah,
could
if anything, it's pointing to the wires or the
yeah,
floor.
if it were pointing to 24, you could see it as whatever you do, don't touch that, as in don't touch the door, don't open the door to go to 24. But that would be awful.
Yeah, it's possible it could just be pointing in that general direction, like that is not
Yeah.
the way
You're
to the
correct.
right.
Yeah, someone probably moved it slightly, just a little bit to mess with people. I'm thinking because the sign is kind of slanted.
Yeah.
I mean, I
So
only mention
maybe
it
it was
because
pointing
everything
directly to
has
the bell.
meaning.
Maybe
If you
just,
wanted it to point to
just
the,
over time either.
if you wanted to point to the button, you would have drawn it and pointing to the button. But
Probably.
Yeah. Um,
I mean, it seems like a little bit.
Oh.
The grates seem a little bit like if somebody wanted to escape this room, it wouldn't be that hard. Because by the size of the doors, it looks like you could pretty much squeeze through one of those things if you're
Yeah.
a person.
That's something that I've never been able to tell about this room. Is it supposed to appear that it's opening onto the outside, or is that just some undefined dark space?
Yeah, I think it's some undefined dark space, so that it doesn't
Yes.
interfere with whatever other clues are here.
Yeah. Because obviously this isn't a peripheral room. It's not around the perimeter.
Well, it could also mean, how birds, you used to put the sheet over the cage so that they don't freak out.
Oh yeah. I wonder if that's anything. Could that?
Doesn't look like a bird cage though. It looks more like for a rat
Yeah.
or some kind of a ferret.
Yeah. Let's check it out, see if there's anything else.
Or other reptile.
Does anybody have any other thoughts as to words maybe or letters in the wires?
Oh, I'm sure with a little bit of work and a lot of zooms, you could probably dream up something. But
Yeah.
that's a wire of a mess right there.
I mean, I think it's pretty cut or dry. It's a trap room. I like the 40 clue. There's only really one door to choose here, so I can't see there being that many clues, other than the ones we've talked about. Maybe there's something, the White Raven thinks that there's a attachment to that golf thing. I don't know if it's golf related though. Do you think it's golf related, or you think it's linguistic?
I'm sorry, I lost part of what you last said. I'm not sure if the viewers will lose that too.
Oh, they all went through. It had to do with golf ball related or
Okay.
logistics, and what the you said Gentile about it.
Gentile. Yeah. Yeah. Supposedly there's one other riddle that we're not seeing, but I wonder if maybe it has something to do with the screwdrivers. So you should try floating that on the website and see the screwdrivers, the screws. I mean.
Yeah.
There we go. Much louder.
Well, if we're feeling like this room is running dry, I mean, there's not a lot here. We could just move on to 14 if you guys want.
14 sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, we can always come back.
Yeah. So I talked a little bit before about the ways that I see that these two rooms are somewhat related to each other, and so let me get into this room. There's a lot more going on here, and there's been a lot more progress. So let me recap some of the things that have been confirmed and then some of the other ideas that have been floated. We have one from Greg, actually, who correctly identified that the target and the paperclip are supposed to act as warnings in the context of the line, what is it? They were so easily led. The idea being that we should avoid the things that seem to be drawing us in, the bullseye that invites you toward the center and the paperclip on the cord that invites you to follow it. If we want to avoid being easily led, we should steer away from these signs. And that seems pretty legit to me. We have some stuff from Vince about how the mouse hole marked room 10 seems to be underneath the table, and he's talked a little bit about this sort of reversal of the darkness versus light thing, where here it's actually safe for us to stay in the darkness and stay under the table and not go out into the light, and that seems to be accepted. And Vince says that he's getting no sound here. Are you guys hearing me?
Yeah, sure.
I hear you loud and clear, so...
All right, I guess I'm going to just trust that this won't be a problem for the viewers. Maybe it's temporary. Let me go on, just in the hopes that we're okay. Vince has also floated the idea of we don't have to go. Yeah, here's the thoughtful guest again, saying we don't have to go running around out there. Vince gave the idea of. I got another message from him. He says, "Let me know if I should stop the cast." I'll tell him we can hear each other.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, so he suggested that the around out there, we don't have to go running around out there. We're supposed to avoid the round objects, the rounded wire of the paperclip, and the concentric circles of the target. And then, so that's also been confirmed. And then there's been another thing which I don't really like as much. It's reminiscent of the yes, no, maybe room, which I know there's been a bit of dissatisfaction with. But Vince and Gentile have batted around some ones and zeros in the picture that White Raven seems to like. So they've talked about how like the table post can be a 1, and you can get a 0 from the ball or the flower.
Yeah.
I think Vince has also said that you can see the paperclip as being a 1 or multiple 1s, and the target as being multiple zeros, the bullseye. I don't really like this stuff. I didn't like the vertical stripes and square stripes making a 1 and a 0 in the yes, no, maybe room, and I don't like this so much either. But if it's there, it's there, and well, White Raven seems to like it. So to the extent that we want to rely on that, I guess we could. It's not really my thing, but there are a couple of other ideas that are that haven't been confirmed that I thought I should mention. One of them is I introduced this. I think it was the first post on this room, but it was really Gentile's idea, which I think is very elegant, and it's I think it's probably my favorite Gentile solution personally. I mean, I know we all love the Atlas stuff, but I really like this, and I don't know why. I guess White Raven says this isn't complete, but he says that the key words here are really turning around, and the fact that they took a path that surprised me after all. When you just look at the room, you can't necessarily tell this, but the only actual entrance to this room is from room 10. Obviously, 24, you can't enter from there, and also it happens that you can't enter this room from 43, and there aren't any other secret entrances. So the only way you can get here is from room 10, and therefore if you envision them sort of standing in the doorway of room 10, door 10, they turn around and they surprise the host after all by beating a retreat instead of doing what he would have expected and choosing one of the other two paths. And so that seems to me to be a really legitimate reading of the final sentence, and so I really like that. And again, White Raven thinks it's incomplete, so I guess there's something more we have to nail down there. But I think that stands as a really good solution, and so credit to Mr. Gentile for that. And let's see, there's also been a theme. Vince and Gentile have also been batting out this whole choose then, where you can choose 10. And so he's imploring them that they must choose door 10. And they've talked about things like entirely, no, not entirely, excuse me, what is it, pay no attention, and also listen, where you have these words containing 10, and the two of them have been going back and forth about whether we can make all of this into a choose 10 idea. And
yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I like it. I think there's something there. The only hesitation that I have is I just praised Mr. Gentile, so I'm going to have to counterbalance that. Mr. Gentile seems to have gotten into this track where he thinks that the line, "I knew they couldn't afford not to listen to me entirely," he thinks that line means it's okay for them not to listen to me entirely. He's gotten onto this whole thing where it's okay for us to take part of what he's saying because of that line. And that seems weird to me. I'm not following him there. If it's supposed to be some kind of separate message to us versus the visitors, I don't really get it. I don't really follow him, and I don't think that's used as concrete evidence that we should be selecting elements of what he says and discarding the rest. So perhaps he'll care to elaborate on that more at a later date, but I think that he may have gotten too fixed on what he thinks the message is there and has lost sight of what the actual words are, because I think that they point in the opposite direction. But I'll just finish up here with a couple more things. Vince has noticed that this is one of the rooms with the most instances of the word 10, or the string 10. And so that's just worth. He's described that a little bit more on the Abyss. That could be worth checking out. Mr. Gentile has suggested that what is it? Entirely can be rearranged to spell I rely 10, which I mean I don't love because we don't have the full syntax there, but that's another possible idea. And gosh, I guess that's almost all I have. The last thing I'll say is that Vince has his own interpretation of turning around. He says that if you go back to room 10 and you flip around, if you turn around the digits 1, 4, you can instead get 41, and that is the exit that you should take from. He likes the idea of that being sort of one of the sort of rare, perhaps, inter-room clues where you have to take a clue from one room and apply it to a different one. And I think there's something there. I still prefer Gentile's much more straightforward interpretation of turning around, but I think that's also, I mean, it's hard not to notice that you've got that 14 and 41, because it's rare that we have that kind of juxtaposition in room 10. And so, yes, that's all I've got for this room.
Nobody said anything about the socket in the wall.
Oh yeah, I think Vince wanted to spin that into a no outlet, but he just couldn't justify it to himself. I kind of like it, but he couldn't justify it to himself, unfortunately.
No outlet.
Yeah, like no.
Yeah, it's just like a play on. Well, yeah, I can't justify it either. I like the 10 stuff. That's the first time I've heard that. That's cool.
And is that a barbell over 10?
Yeah, it seems like that, doesn't it? It's actually, I'm sure it's just part of the structural support of the table, like it's conjoining the table legs. But I've never, ever since I was a kid, I've never not been able to see that as a barbell.
Because,
yeah, it's really weird.
Barbells by default are 10 pounds most of the time, so
Whoa.
you got that.
Oh. Well,
Barbell.
I mean, sometimes they're 6 pounds or 2 pounds, but 10 pounds is a good standard.
It looks like a 10-pound bell, but here's the thing though. Doesn't it look like a top hat as well? If you sort of flip it on its side, it sort of looks like a hat. It's got this other thing on top of it, but Sort of like the shape of a top hat. I think I outlined it. I had a picture of it.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah, sort of cartoony, like Mad Hatter kind of a hat.
Yeah,
With the
exactly.
expanding stem or whatever the fuck you call it.
And I've always subscribed to the top hat being an anagram for two path. And well, Vincent says, "Oh, well, path is not mentioned in the book." Well, it is. There's a few rooms where they talk about the path explicitly. So, if any of, I know the loop is not a legit term in the maze, and neither is the trap unless you see some of the clues. But path is definitely referenced in the book.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. I'm not saying that that's a top hat. I'm just trying to explain my reasoning for that. But that thing always bugged me because there's no reason for it to be shaped like that. It's just it's a piece of wood that's structurally holding in the integrity of the table, but doesn't have to be shaped like that. So I'm sure there's something to.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard that it was a barbell either. I like that one.
No, I like that Barry thought that because I've also independently thought that. But the thing I was going to say about the barbell idea is that this may not be intentional, but I really like in room 36. I think this might have been yours, Alex.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the room with the two musicians.
36, yeah.
I really liked the idea that stone that's sort of hanging out over 16 is a warning not to go there because it might fall on your head. I thought that was yours. I'm not quite sure whose that was.
Yeah, that was.
Where like if you look at the, I doubt that like if you think that's legitimate, which I do, just because there's not a whole lot else going on in that room, then I guess Manson probably didn't intend for that little post thing to look like a barbell because you wouldn't want to walk, by the same logic, you wouldn't want to walk underneath the door with a barbell hanging over it either.
Actually, it's a dumbbell if it's just a one-handed one.
Dumbbell.
Yeah.
Is that the distinction? I don't know. Is that it? Dumbbell is a two-handed, barbell is a one-handed?
No, barbell is two-handed.
I didn't even know there were one-handed varieties. What do you want with a one-handed variety?
Oh, you can do a lot with dumbbells. They're great. What about the Tudor rose?
Oh yeah. Is that what it is? A Tudor rose?
Well, it's been mentioned before. It sort of looks like one, I'd say.
Yeah, agreed. It doesn't have the little leafy bits like sticking out, but otherwise it does have the similar shape.
Well, here's a question: is 43? Is that the red room? Is that the one with the 43? Hold on a second.
Oh, is it?
43. Oh no, I thought it was the one.
Oh no.
Where the word red was referenced by the devil's.
Right, the trident.
And all that other crap, right? But yeah, that's never mind then.
That's too bad. I see where you're going with that, like a red rose kind of.
Yeah, red rose. Yeah.
The rose is red, so that would make sense. But
right.
No, that's the peak yourself part room.
Yeah. I'm not seeing any connection with the rose unless it's something that we haven't connected.
Yeah, I mean the only thing that has been done with that is that that's been one of the things that Vince and Gentile have talked about, like maybe that's supposed to be a 0, and so maybe it's supposed to go at the 1 of the post. Or
oh yeah, I don't buy any of that stuff. I don't buy the 1-0 stuff. Even the legit ones. I don't even buy the legit ones. So.
No, I don't love pictorial digits. It's not my thing.
Or it could be another reference to just round, because the word round, turn around, and it's a round object, just like the sphere.
It's true. And if you go out there, then you're on the wrong side of the table. If you can see the flower, then you're on the wrong side of the table. That could be.
Yeah.
Oh, people have also talked about we should mention this. People have also talked about the specific extremity that's at the foot here, clutching the ball. It looks vaguely and almost disturbingly human, which somebody pointed out. I don't remember who, but somebody pointed out that that's a little strange because you're used to seeing sort of paws or claws or other animal-like extremities down there at the bottom, and this table seems to have a human hand for a foot, which, I mean, it looks a little misshapen, but that's part of what makes it disturbing. But those really do kind of look like fingers, and so people have mentioned that. I don't have any personal take on that, but it's worth pointing out, I guess.
Oh, I think there's definitely something to it. It's very reminiscent of Orson in that room, like the fact that it's like a half man, like sort of a mountain man, or
the sort of. In fact, it looks a lot like it with the sort of leafy or whatever kind of pattern that is going up the sleeve, so to speak. It does look a lot like Orson's leafy or furry jacket or whatever that is.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be something different. Like
I'd say-
it could be another. It could be another legendary character, is what I'm saying.
Or it could be that it's supposed to be Orson. He's even got, well, he hasn't got flowers. He's got leaves around his crown. It would have been cool if he had roses around his crown, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something there, possibly, or maybe it's just another one of Menson's little imaginative flourishes. Imaginative and slightly eerie flourishes.
My other inclination was always to look at the fringes on the edge of the tablecloth to try and find letters in it, but I never found anything of note.
No.
Yeah, there's nothing in there. There's sort of an N if you really want to use your imagination.
Yeah, I can kind of. I think I see what the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Me too. Or a bunch of eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of ones.
Yes.
And the zero is the screw. Oh, you know
Yeah.
what? That's funny. And now that I mentioned that do not enter sign, I'm seeing another one now right above the socket. There's another screw that's shaped like a do not enter sign above 24.
It's too bad it's not horizontal. Because if it were horizontal, it would look a lot like. It would look a lot like a.
It could still apply, right? It is over 24, and it is.
Yeah, if you saw that as a clue in 11, then yeah, you could read that as a clue here too.
I think so. I think it's a sort of. Maybe it's not legit, but he could have used Phillips or Robertson's, but he decided to use flat.
Yeah. Flatheads, old school.
Yeah.
Do they use any Phillips in any other rooms, or are they all flathead?
Well, in most rooms,
They're all flathead.
The scale is such that you wouldn't really be able to tell. I think usually, that's the privilege of these two rooms is that since they're magnified, you can see details like that.
You know what though? I'm sure I don't know that there's any other screws at all in the rest of the maze. I don't remember seeing any. The only one I sort of know is in room 6. The things that are holding in the important notice.
Oh yeah,
But those aren't even really screws. They just could be nails or something.
Same with the ones holding up the 40 sign. Actually, they also have a little like they don't quite look like just nails.
Yeah.
But that's really reading.
So what?
Pretty deep. That's going pretty deep. I don't know if that is there.
What are the little dockets in room 11 then? Are those flatheads?
Those are flat. Yeah.
Okay, so there's at least that room then.
Yeah.
I like those little dockets.
Oh, what are the names for those? It's not countersunk. Oh yeah, mushroom head. There's mushroom head, countersunk, and counterbore, and these are the mushroom ones.
Oh, yeah.
Not that it matters. I don't know. I think he used them to give it that sort of timeless look. He's not going to start going crazy with technological advances on the types of screws that he's using.
Right.
Yeah, to make it look like a timeless, as opposed to using like a torque screwdriver or a tri-wing.
Yeah. I mean, but he does use some semi-modern stuff for the time for 85. He does have a fair bit of lamps and lampshades and sockets and stuff like that. He uses a fair bit of it, and of course in 13 the light.
Yeah, that's probably the most modern looking thing.
Yeah, I haven't really found any clues to the electrical stuff in the maze. Like it's always been in the background, so to speak. Like for example, in room 8, the light bulb. Like there are a few things explained with it, but for the most part, it doesn't have anything to do with the message of the room. I think it's only one clue. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, and it's the most important clue. But yeah, I digress here, but there's definitely something going on with his dual use of both electrical and candles.
Where is he? Well, Lantern. I guess he's up to Lantern in 27. Are there any
Yeah.
other Lanterns in Windows?
Well, there's the one in 4. There's the unlit candle. There's a bunch of lit candles in 29.
Right. Of course, of course.
In 13, there's the light bulb. I don't know. Like, I think this is even worth an episode on itself. Just like light in the maze and how it acts as a clue and how it acts differently in each room is a different type of clue. Like, I don't know. I think
That sounds like the good it's development.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm flipping through this and I'm thinking of how much light really is important to this. Like, Vince cracked room 21 when he said the sort of dappled lighting on 44 as opposed to the clear light on 24 or the complete shadow on 31. Like, light is super important to me. I think 23, God, in all of the rooms.
Yeah, we could easily do a whole episode just about the whole light and darkness thing.
Yeah, room 27, the shadows, crazy.
Is that another reason why you thought that 11 and 14 should be bundled together? Is because they have similar lighting?
No, I guess that didn't occur to me, but they do. I wonder where the lighting is coming from in 11. Can't really tell.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard.
Maybe it's lit from below, like, well, no, I guess it's not.
They both have a same kind of hue to it.
Yeah, there's little shadow.
There's a little shadow. I mean, if you were having to, redo it on black paper or something, it's, just use a lot of white.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that could be a topic. Another thing in 14 that I just might as well throw out there. Some people have read the line, since they tried to think of themselves as adults, as indicating that the visitors are literally not adults, that they're literally children, which I guess he refers to them as children in one or two other cases. So some people have seen that as fodder for theories about who the visitors are.
I had another theory, maybe, and I don't know, maybe Greg will like this one, but maybe they're not adults, but they're mice.
Oh my god! Oh.
That would make sense.
That's why everything is so small here. It looks like mouse holes.
The whole thing is one big laboratory.
Yeah, it is.
That means that anybody could have made it.
And the guide is just a scientist.
Oh my god! So who's the guy in the top hat?
Maybe he's the ringmaster of the circus that they're part of.
Oh my god! You think they're performing nice? Whoa!
Possible.
Whoa!
The thoughtful one is the one who jumps through the hoops.
She's a star.
Yeah.
It'll take me a little bit to absorb all that and gain insight and shock, but I'm going to go ahead and agree with that. That's perfect. That's even better than my solution.
I still stick to my Michael Jackson guide solution as the be all and end all of Maze. No, I don't. Are there any rooms where there's the opposite going on? I guess not. Where like the visitors are super big, but there aren't.
I'm not sure.
The table's super big,
Where the visitors appear to be huge, and everything else appears to be tiny.
Hey, arguably the room where the wizard is painting them. Which room is it? It's in the loop somewhere. I believe it is. Vince knows all these by hand.
Oh, no, I got it right here. It's 19.
All right, I'm gonna click on 19. Why not?
Like 19 plays on size as well in the sense that it's got the 3-to-1 ratio. I think Greg mentioned the 3-to-1 ratio. Like the tree furthest away from us is exactly 1/3 the size of the one closest to us, etc. etc. Like the guy is small next to the giant statue man.
Right.
whatever. I'm totally taking us off topic here. I'm just.
And it does say number 31, 3-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, that's where the
Well,
whole theory
that's what
came
it's
from.
supposed to be.
I guess that makes sense. That's where they got it.
Yeah.
Well, that's
No.
not. I mean, we're talking about the whole reason I picked these two rooms was because of the size correlation.
I guess it is sort of.
I'm sure there's a correlation in there.
Definitely. Yeah, I think the thing that bugs me, like the biggest mystery for me in 14, is to identify whose arm that is, because I don't know, it seems too weird and unique to just be, oh, here's just a random table that just happens to have an arm hand with a sphere. Like, you don't see that every day.
That was old school for stuff like tables and lamps. That wasn't too odd.
Yeah, you're right.
And for that time, if this was the 80s, because I'm looking at it, and I don't see anything odd about it. Maybe it's just upbringing, but
Well, that's what's been pointed out is that it's normal to have some kind of little external, but it would be more normal looking if it were a paw or a claw or some other animalistic thing. It's unusual to have a human hand down there, or at least
that's what I'm talking about. If it was if it was like the tripod paws in 15, or if it was like, the infamous 34, like those are pretty normal looking leg endings.
right, sort of paw-like. But this
it's more stylized. It's not like a freaking arm that's specifically carrying a sphere, like apart from the clues that we mentioned before. But I think there's something more to it than that. I mean, it takes up most of the majority of the picture.
maybe since it was made for a mouse, they made a special appendage that the mouse would appreciate.
Yeah, that's what it appears to the mouse, even though it looks different to everyone else.
I like the idea that I like the resemblance to Orson with the leaves or whatever they are on the sleeve. I like that observation. I think it could be deliberate.
Yeah, but to what end? I mean, it's just words until we can link it up to something.
Yeah.
Choose that. Oh, I really like the 10 stuff. The choose 10, and then the fact that 10 is list 10.
Yeah, I think that Gentile and Vince are struggling to come up with a really rock solid justification for it, but I like the idea.
Yeah. I don't know. Those are few and far between, the rock solids.
Right.
Yeah. Is that it?
I'm pretty much out on this one. I guess we mostly just look up what we still don't know, but that's totally fine. That seems to be the shape of most of these.
Yeah, I mean that's all I've got, other than maybe they play darts with the paperclip tied to a string. There aren't any really darts around, unless the darts are the tablecloths in disguise.
Or unless they're the darts.
Yeah.
You mean
Yeah,
unless
if the visitors were the darts.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They're just there for the guide's amusement.
Yes.
Well,
maybe,
I mean, there could be a connection with the target and the Tudor rows, because they both have the same shape. They're both round, and they have concentric circles, one inside the other.
Yeah.
So there might be some connection there. But again, to what? I don't know. I love stating the obvious.
Yeah, they've both been suggested as candidates for a visual 0 here in the picture. I mean, you don't like that, I don't like that, but they have both been, like that similarity has been commented on. And yeah, I'd like it if there were a stronger reason for them to resemble each other.
Well, they are both on the bad side of the table leg. Nope, I got nothing else on either of these rooms, really. But it's good to get through them,
Yeah, just
even if it's 2 at a time, and it's rinsing them out of clues.
Barry counts as a person. It's 3 at a time.
I mean, the other reason we do this podcast is to get people interested in it and maybe comment in the comments below, people, about your own thoughts on this. And if you see something new that we missed, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. So do you want to wrap this one up?
Sure. I don't really want to choose another room without the other guys because they might have some ideas.
Yeah, we'll do that offline.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I'd also have to say that maybe the other connection between the two rooms is that Mr. Manson himself enjoyed building both of them equally.
Maybe, hopefully.
I would hope so. If not a good job, regardless, on both of them. All right.
So we will see you guys.
I'm gonna sing. I'm gonna sing until